Hello and welcome to another installment of Metallic Reviews, the show where I take an honest look at the harder, heavier side of music and give it an honest rating. Today we head for the land down under. That's right, we are going to be in Australia to dig into some good old-fashioned metalcore. Okay, maybe it's not exactly old-fashioned metalcore, but it's metalcore nonetheless. It's metalcore with all the modernized bells and whistles, honestly. And no, it's not Northlane. It's actually Polaris, and their new one, Fatalism, out September 1st on Resist and Sharp Tone Records. Now, this is their third studio album, their first since The Death of Me back in 2020. They're also a band that often gets overshadowed by other metalcore exports from their country, namely the aforementioned Northlane and the absolute monstrous explosion that is Parkway Drive. Though I've only heard one song by Polaris in the past, it is among my favorites. It's called The Remedy. It's a pretty good song. How will my first run-through of a full album be? Let's go ahead and jump in and see. Now, in terms of aesthetics, atmosphere, and stuff like that, this doesn't really drift too far away from the current trend in metalcore. Namely, it takes the core genre, no pun intended, and wires it to be blasted out of a car radio as one's hands are held aloft through the sunroof at 90 miles an hour and raising it. Woo! Yeah, it's very post-hardcore influenced, especially in terms of the backing soundscape. Keys and pretty noises underlie a somewhat restrained performance from the band. Now, this may not start a lot of mosh pits worldwide. Matter of fact, I can guarantee you it won't, but that doesn't really make it bad. In fact, it's quite the opposite for me. I've come to appreciate how modern metalcore doesn't just focus on the heaviness. They don't drop it, but they don't focus solely on that. Rather, they put together small packages of songs and then allow the listener to unwrap them a verse and a chorus at a time. Polaris do succeed in that somewhat, although they do have their issues here. We'll accentuate the positives first, though. I really enjoyed a lot of the chorus work here. It's got that Architects, Asking Alexandria feel to it, featuring a lot of bigness, overall catchiness, really a lot of memorability. It's sure to inspire sing-along moments the world over. Polaris have written choruses with the very large audiences in mind. It's not going to rattle anyone's windows, but they definitely maneuver themselves into an area between serenity and rage that some might find comforting. Now, this is an album that I would show to someone to expose them to what modern metalcore is, or introduce a casual hard rock listener to something that's just a little bit heavier than that. Another positive, I would say, is the lyricism. Though it can be a bit wordy at times, there's a definite sense of realism to everything here. It's not abstract, it's not politically or socially biased. It just dives deep into the root of a lot of problems in the world, mental health. Now, this is a soundtrack to someone's mental undoing, and it's put over with such fervor and ferocity that you can't help but pay attention to it. This is not a happy-go-lucky, everything works out in the end type of record. This is very much real, very much to the point, and I appreciate that. I really do. It's good to expose that on such a deep level, and I feel that a lot of people who listen to it will appreciate it as well. Now, on the downside, the album at times does feel like it's trying to be Architects a little too much. There's a lot on here that Architects have done on their last three albums, Holy Hell, For Those That Wish to Exist, and Classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit, but they did it a little bit better. For instance, the overall production. Here, it's good. Architects took that, ran with it, and created soundscapes that were just full and constantly engaging. Polaris have created some engagement on here, but in the end, it does sound like the band have dug way too deep into their Architects influence and turned it a little bit into Architects light. Now, structurally, the record has some issues as well. The band doesn't really commit to a certain method of writing music, and this can be a plague for other metalcore bands too. Some songs follow a traditional format, while others are a little more open-ended. Now, sometimes this can work like on a prog record, but when you're trying to put something together that's a little more accessible to the average listener, that can kill things dead in their tracks. This doesn't make the album bad, but it does offer a weird dynamic that in this type of music, it just doesn't really work. Overall, though, Polaris have released a solid album. I dig some of the choruses on here, and I know I'll be spinning a few tracks again. The album artwork is good, if a bit on the blunt side, and the album's atmosphere is full of the modern echoes that wind their way throughout metalcore. If they tightened up some of the songwriting and moved with a bit more originality, I'd say we had an Album of the Year contender. As it is, it's just another okay listen. I give Fatalism a solid, unspectacular 3.5 out of 5. Thanks so much for watching. Please click like and don't forget to subscribe for more Metallic reviews. Next week, we're going to be shifting gears harshly again. What else is new around here? As we head into the brutal technical side of death metal, the unintelligible vocals and the absolutely massive frenetic songwriting of, a little band called Cryptopsy. Yeah, it's their first album in just about a decade. It's been a long time since anybody's heard anything from these guys. It's called As Gomorrah Burns, and we'll be reviewing it here on Metallic Reviews next time. I hope you join me. You've been watching Metallic Reviews, where I give honest ratings to honest music, and I will see y'all next time.